The Lieutenant of Shunsui Kyoraku, Nanao Ise, may not be one of the most iconic characters in Bleach, since well, she has barely any screen time. This is purely as a result of Bleach having way too many characters in its cast. What's great is that we do see her in some pivotal moments during the Soul Society arc. She is also briefly seen during the Turn Back the Pendulum flashback arc, and Kubo does quite a lot of things to redeem her character during the Thousand Year Blood War arc, as she plays a pivotal role in assisting Shunsui during his battle against Lille Barro. In this video, I want to completely break down and analyze the character of Nanao. We'll see her evolution from somebody who was a disciplined subordinate who would literally foam at the mouth when confronted by a powerful opponent, like we had seen when Shunsui had challenged Yamamoto during the Soul Society arc, into what she becomes during the Thousand Year Blood War arc when she faces off against Lille Barro, with Shunsui gently reassuring her. The final arc of Bleach reveals a lot of key details about the backstory of Nanao and her relationship with Shunsui, as there's quite a bit to go over with the history of the Ise family and her link to the Shinken Hakkyoken, a divine weapon which is said to have the ability to reflect the power of God. Hopefully by the end of this video you'll have a newfound appreciation for Nanao, and she may just end up becoming one of your favourite lieutenants within the series. So without further delay, let's begin my character analysis of Nanao Ise. We got really tired of the same old boring anime shirts, so we decided to launch Getsuga.com with the aim of creating designs inspired by our favorite anime and manga. We came up with designs that look cool and represent all of our favorite stories. Check out the latest Instinct collection, which features some amazing designs like this Frosted Heavens design inspired by Toshiro Hitsugaya, or this Instinct design inspired by Holo Ichigo, and my personal favorite, which is the Heart design, which was inspired by Ukiura Shifa. Do not miss out, go to Getsuga.com and wear your favorite stories. Nanao makes a debut appearance within chapter 102 of the manga and in episode 35 of the 2004 Bleach anime. In terms of her appearance, she gives off a vibe of elegance and discipline, and this is mostly credited to her pragmatic personality. She has quite a slim build and a youthful appearance, with her signature long black hair which is neatly tied back, and those iconic oval-shaped glasses that she wears, which do an excellent job of giving off this scholarly appearance. Nanao bears a striking resemblance to her late mother, especially as an adult, and this links her back to the lore of the Ise clan, which explains why she doesn't have a Zanpakutō and why she is the inheritor of the Shinken Hakkyoken, a divine weapon which was rumored to be responsible for the curse that the women of the Ise clan bear. Despite being one of the weakest characters in the story, Nanao commands respect thanks to her personality, which is a blend of professionalism and subtle warmth. We see her professionalism with Shunsui, as she is constantly on his case due to his carefree and unorthodox approach to leadership, and we see the warmth that she displays with individuals like Kinpachi. During the Thousand Year Blood War arc, when Kinpachi had wanted to go look for Yachiru, she was very stern and blunt with him, speaking to him in a manner that individuals like Ikkaku or Yumichika would not even dare of. But thanks to her pragmatic words, Kinpachi sees sense, as he realizes that he is desperately needed at the lab right now in order to share his reishi, and he already has his subordinates looking for Yachiru, and him joining them on their search would make little to no difference. Nanao is the perfect lieutenant for Shunsui. She is essentially his foil. Shunsui is quick to duck and dive responsibility, with Nanao playing the role of a guiding force within his life with her no-nonsense attitude. She often scolds him and answers back with witty remarks, proving that she isn't afraid of saying what needs to be said, even if it's to one of her superiors. This is a quality that she frankly requires, especially if she is facing a captain as laid back as Shunsui. And while it may be a bit of a pain for him to be constantly reminded of his responsibilities, I don't think that Shunsui would have it any other way. From seeing their bond, it's evident that he appreciates everything that Nanao does, even if she spends most of her time scolding him. Nanao is often seen carrying books, and this is more than just a subtle design feature. This highlights her insatiable thirst for knowledge and her reliance on strategy and logic over brute force strength. While she was in the Shinigami Academy, it was revealed that she was unable to wield a traditional Zanpakutō, so she had compensated for this by improving her expertise in Kido. Her skills in this combat art were so exceptional that she was enlisted within the Gotei 13 without having a Zanpakutō. So I've mentioned how Nanao tells off Shunsui, but she is only able to do this because their relationship is built upon a foundation of respect. She still holds a great deal of respect for him, and she trusts him and his leadership, and this is seen during the 1000-Year Blood War arc, when Shunsui is left with no choice but to take on the role of head captain, and the way that she supports him during that portion of the story is exceptional. In chapter 551, we see that Nanao had created an impenetrable barrier when she was confronted by Hashward. This had prevented the Quincy from being able to attack them, as Hashward commends her knowledge and skill in Kido. In terms of the backstory of Nanao, we learn a lot of information about her past in chapter 651 and 652, and she also has a brief mention within the Turn Back the Pendulum arc. The history of Nanao's character is tied back to the lineage of the Ise clan, and this also links back to her bond with Shunsui. Nanao, who was born into the Ise family, had ended up suffering tragedy and was burdened with responsibility at a young age. Nanao's mother was the previous head of the all-female Ise clan, and she was responsible for looking after the clan's sacred Zanpakutō, the Shinken Hakkyoken, but she had entrusted this Zanpakutō to Shunsui before she had died. Following the death of her mother, Nanao was looked after by her relatives until she was old enough to enter the Shinigami Academy. This is where we learn that Nanao was gifted with an exceptional ability in Kido, and this for the most part had made up for her inability to imprint herself onto an Asauchi, thus making her a Shinigami without a Zanpakutō. During her time at the Shinigami Academy, Nanao had seen Shunsui visiting the headmaster, and she had recognized those hairpins in his hair, noticing that they are identical to the ones that had belonged to her mother. When Nanao had graduated, she was surprised to learn that she was enlisted into Squad 8. She had assumed that because she didn't have a Zanpakutō, she may be able to make it as a Kido user in the Kido Corps, so she had requested to be assigned to them. But for some strange reason, she was enlisted into Squad 8. Upon her enlistment, she was greeted by Shunsui, and she had noticed two major differences in his appearance from how he would usually look when he was visiting the academy. She noticed that he had changed his kimono that he was wearing, and he had removed the hairpins to greet Nanao. Shunsui had obviously done this in order not to arouse Nanao's suspicion, but because she had already seen him earlier during his visits at the academy, and now she spotted that he had made those two notable changes, this all but confirms to her that this is the man that her mother had entrusted something important to. That important item was of course the Shinken Hakkyoken. During the Turn Back the Pendulum arc, Nanao's appearance had surprised a lot of us, because it was revealed that she was a member of the 8th Division despite being just a little girl. Nanao had a strong bond with the former lieutenant of the 8th Division, Lisa Yadomaru, who had used to read books to her. Sometime after Lisa and the other Vizards were exiled from the Soul Society, Nanao had gradually worked her way up the ranks of the 8th Division in order to become Shunsui's lieutenant. Nanao is introduced during the Soul Society arc, and she doesn't really play much of a major role, but we learn more about her character via her interactions with Shunsui here, as we see their contrasting personalities. Nanao actually sees Chad moving through the 8th Division barracks, and while she is about to handle the situation herself as she was worried about the presence of this intruder, her captain dismisses her concerns as he teases her, which she responds with by hitting him with her fan. Via this scene, we see that she is the responsible lieutenant, making sure that things are in order, while she is also putting up with the antics of her captain. Nanao remains composed even after Chad is defeated, as she offers to deal the killing blow against him, but Shunsui stops her. He instead decides that he should be taken to the 4th Division for treatment, which highlights how she is willing to listen to the orders of her superior, even if it contradicts her gut feeling. Nanao is present with Shunsui and Ukitake when they try to halt the execution of Rukia. When she attempts to help during their confrontation with Yamamoto, she is quickly overwhelmed by Yamamoto's immense spiritual pressure. She falls to her knees and literally begins foaming from the mouth. The anime does censor this greatly, but the manga does a fantastic job of highlighting just how outmatched Nanao was. Shunsui acts immediately in order to shield Nanao, which demonstrates the strong bond between the two of them as he safeguards his second in command. Nanao doesn't really play a big role in the Soul Society arc. For the most part, she's a observer. We do see enough of her in order to get a solid idea of her character. We see her intelligence, her sense of duty, as well as her loyalty to Shunsui. All of these foundational seeds which have been laid by Kubo play a pivotal role in the future story arcs. Nanao undoubtedly has her major role during the final arc of the series, the 1000-Year Blood War arc. During the second invasion of the Quincy, when they take over the Serete, she immediately assesses the situation and stands by Shunsui. With her captain having been promoted to the position of Captain Commander, Nanao has also been promoted to the position of co-lieutenant of the 1st Division. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, Nanao had created an advanced Kido barrier which was able to stop Hashward, as he had even acknowledged her skill in Kido. This demonstrates the difference in her mentality. Following the events of the first Quincy invasion, she knew that everybody was stepping up to the table, so in that gap between the first and second Quincy invasion, she had further honed her skills in anticipation of the Quincy threat. And in some ways, she also wanted to prove that she was worthy of this promotion that she had received, as she's effectively one of the highest ranking members within the hierarchy of the Gotei 13 who isn't a captain. So everything culminates for Nanao's character during her confrontation with Lille Barro in the 1000-Year Blood War arc. This is a defining moment for her character, as she finally steps out of that supporting observer role and she wields the legendary Ise family sword, the Shinken Hakkyoken. This divine weapon is a sacred blade that is passed through the generations of the Ise family. It is unlike any other Zanpakuto in the story. Its primary function is to reflect and disperse the power of God. This property makes it the perfect weapon to counter somebody like Lille Barro, who possesses godlike invincible abilities. This divine weapon is linked to the history of the Ise clan and to the death of Nanao's mother, as she had sacrificed herself in an attempt to get rid of the Ise family curse by giving the sword to Shunsui for safekeeping. Shunsui had created another Zanpakuto spirit called Kyokotsu, and it is within that Zanpakuto that he had hidden the Shinken Hakkyoken. Nanao does initially struggle to wield the Shinken Hakkyoken, as she barely cuts through Lille Barro's arm, and when she uses the Zanpakuto to reflect one of Lille's attacks, the deflected beam injures her leg. She shakes with nervousness, but with Shunsui's unwavering support, it allows her to reflect Lille's ultimate attack right back at him as it destroys his divine holy form. This wasn't just a victory against the enemy, it was a huge personal win for Nanao, as she transforms this Zanpakuto, which her mother had feared was responsible for the curse of the Ise family, into a weapon of hope. Nanao's role at the end of the 1000-Year Blood War arc solidifies her as a major figure within the story, and she's someone that I'm really hoping to see more of in the Hell arc of the Bleach manga. Nanao is seen briefly during the No Breeds from Hell one-shot chapter, as hours before Ukitake's Konso Reise ritual, Mayuri informs Nanao that her along with the other lieutenants have been requested to gather within the world of the living so that they can perform the Jokimen Reibaku ceremony. This is where the lieutenants gather within the world of the living and capture a hollow so that it can be purified. This is one of the prerequisites of the Konso Reise. So because Nanao is a co-lieutenant, she advises Genshiro to stay with Shunsui while she heads out to the world of the living. We see Nanao present with the other lieutenants as they meet Ichigo in Karakura town, and this is where the Shinigami are ultimately attacked by several beasts of hell. Additional details about Nanao have been revealed from Club Outside. In question 338 on his fan club, Kubo had revealed that Nanao now uses a cane following her fight with Lille. Now this is where she had sustained that injury on her leg after deflecting Lille's attack. So as a result, she is now walking with the assistance of a cane. In question 574, Kubo had revealed why Nanao wears glasses, explaining that the members of the Ise clan all have poor eyesight. So well, there you have it. That's everything that I have for the character of Nanao Ise. I do hope that she gets more screen time during the 1000-Year Blood War arc anime, and that the role of the Shinken Hakkyoken is expanded upon. This week we are going to be seeing Shunsui versus Lille, and we'll get to see the first half of the fight. The second half will feature Nanao playing a pivotal role, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. Nanao also has the opportunity to play more of a major role during the Hell arc whenever Kubo gets around to drawing it. It's fascinating to learn that she had sustained a permanent injury following that fight with Lille, and I didn't really notice that she was using a cane during the No Breeds from Hell one-shot chapter, so it is great that Kubo had clarified this on his fan club. Definitely continue the discussion about Nanao in the comments. I'd love to know all of your thoughts about a character. If there's anything that I've forgotten to mention, then do let me know. And lastly, thank you for making it to the end of this video, and I cannot wait to see you in my next Bleach character analysis video.
A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.